question on the... I like that you're collecting the data once, you touch it and you've got it, so for all of these other purposes. So one of them, the archival perspective is great. Another big use is email journaling, which is generally captured on the way in rather than when it actually lands in a user's inbox. That doesn't sound like something that you're really doing at the moment because you'd have to intercept that on the way through.
Well, if it lands in the inbox, and depends on how aggressive your data collection policies are.
Okay.
If you have your data collection policies set to capture everything,
yep,
and run it as frequently, and there's no reason why you cannot run it very frequently because you only do incrementals and scan and everything else there.
Yeah, but can we use the Exchange journal? Because
so we already have
part of that function is to get mail into the archive before the miscreant user can delete it.
So we actually have a compliance plugin that basically uses the journal mailbox and applies the same rules on the journal mailbox to capture all of that and then store it in the back. And then you can choose to apply content indexing search on it later on. That's the other big thing over here is when you look at those archive e-discovery type systems, they index it at the time of capture, which slows it down, which limits how much you can do it over here. Our preference here is collect it, put it in the repository efficiently in the back end over there, and then have our indexing engine go in the back. Don't index everything, only index stuff that is relevant to what's really critical over here. So I can go back and say if there's a legal hold on 10 individuals, I can go back in and run a content indexing process on only emails and files from those 10 individuals. And I can very quickly do a search and tag against those over there. So I don't have to waste a lot of processing in the back trying to index 10,000 other users that are also getting a whole bunch of emails in my journal mailbox over there.
Okay. Which was a perfect segue. I wish I could say that was planned and that we were that on top of things. But I also wanted to just kind of show you a quick understanding, another piece of how that content store brings value. How do you leverage it in this way to understand what's in there, to be able to get to it? E-discovery, search are a huge part of that. And one of the big value propositions of this content store approach is I've got backup and I have archive all in the same pool. And you think about this laptop desktop piece, how do I need to go do, it's a real pain to go do e-discovery on a laptop for somebody who's in an office 200 miles away. But if I'm doing this kind of backup stuff, collecting all this into the content store, then I'm going to be able to quickly and easily do those searches without ever have to actually go physically to the kind of machine. And this enhancements that we've done in version 10 around the whole search interface, the whole search engine, moving to a Lucene Solar backend to do that, has made things faster, given us a lot more granular search capabilities, but also enables that whole preview thing that I showed within the app, within the piece. And so here is just a quick, and I had to record this because I do not actually have compliance search permissions within CommVault. So, they must not trust me. But, so here's what it looks like when you go, you launch your web browser, you would actually go to the compliance search. Well, that didn't work. Let's try again. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to go launch this compliance search console. And so if I'm on the legal team, I'm on the compliance team. This is role-based access. You could customize this search interface, very kind of Google-like feel. Gives me all these different options, whether it's file, discovery. I can look on particular clients. I can look across file. I can look across email. I can do really simple keyword searches. I can also do really in-depth ones. Here's an example. I'm going to look for Bernie Madoff within email. Let's say I'm a legal guy. I'm looking at worried that something's going on. They tweeted something about the financial results. I think they might have other ties to another area, right? And it didn't turn up anything. But now, I have some inclination. There might be something in our which is a environment. I can go look and see what is is everything that's in their data rack. And then I can scroll down, preview this document. I haven't even had to download it, do anything with it. And I look and see, oh, this is when we were looking for bios of particular speakers for an event. And it just happened to turn out that this guy was a general during the Iraq War. So I'm not too worried about that one, but I haven't had a chance to look through everything yet. And so maybe I want to go and create a legal hold for this. And I can do this all within this tool. I can do lots of different things on what I'm searching across, time frames, keywords. And this is all different options within there. And I've got one little step here at the end that'll kind of show you how easy it is to then, okay, I am a little concerned. I'm going to set this off in a legal hold. I'm going to do this all within this Search Console. I've enabled my legal department now to have self-service access into all of their backup, all their archive data in one central location.
Can it do contextual search based on, say, Iraq, and within the context of, say, weapons or...
Yeah, you can do multiple levels within that. You can do, you know, and or lots of different things.
Could you then associate that with whoever's accessed it over a period of time, or whoever's, you know what I mean? Yeah, Prism. I'm trying to get a mini Prism in my backyard.
So here's like just adding the legal hold. And
to your point, yes. So you can actually look for related terms.
Right.
Like I say, Iraq occurs over here, and what occurs, another word occurs within so much vicinity of that word over there.
Could it also extract the distribution list
Yes,
of whoever's accessed the document?
correct. If it's in the email context over there, you can actually extract the distribution
cool.
list.
Thank you.
yeah. And here I went and created a legal hold for this. I've created an export set that now I'm going to take and I can deliver to my legal admins and have them start to look through things, right? So just a quick look at what being able to get into this content store enables on the end user front. And it's the IT end user, it's just that all the people within the organization that need access to their data, and it's also across the legal and compliance as well. How do they need to leverage and use that data and get value from it? So, yeah, that is it.
Thanks, Greg.
So.
Before he goes on, I wanted to point out, I asked CommVault to go over some of this legal hold stuff because, you know, you guys may not know it, but in addition to doing IT, I did 2 years of litigation readiness consulting. And this was the kind of tools that we went crazy for, because this stuff is really, really hard and free form and flexible and really incredibly important to companies to be able to do this. So,
And with everybody else, you got to set up a whole separate infrastructure and another copy of the data.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So I thought you guys might be interested to see this other area of IT that you may not have been exposed to before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be exposed to this.
yeah.
This is, yeah, there you go. That was me.
Yeah. Although the thought of letting in-house counsel have free reign of my data.
Okay. So the users don't know that any of that's going on.
Right.
Unless you tell them.
Well,
You can tell them.
why would you do that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So of course, through the CommVault format we're running a little long, but we'll stick to the time limit here on the 15 minutes. What I'll propose is that there's 2 topics left that I want to hit on around how we're getting a little bit better and more strategic around managing operations around data, not just managing the data itself, but letting individuals who have to manage all of this stuff do it better, faster, more efficiently. So first one is workflow automation. I mentioned it in the context on the whiteboard of the DR types of scenarios. We'll go through a quick kind of demo on that. And then some of the reporting. I want to talk about some of the reporting capabilities here. So we won't kind of delay it all. I just want to dive into this demo on the workflow automation. You want to go ahead and go?
So, okay, so before
Yeah, go ahead.
So workflow automation, just to give you very quick context on this one. It is strategic for us for CommVault because it does two things. It allows us to automate these complex workflows or orchestration policies, operating policies that exist in a large customer environment, which requires a lot of click-through and manual editing and stuff like that, which is always error-prone. The other thing that lets us do is it lets us make the product more extensible much more quicker. So with this over here, it now allows us the ability to turn around and provide and respond to customer requests. Anything that can be accomplished through a command line requires a sequence of command line or API-based activities that are already available. I can very quickly turn around and convert it into a new feature for my customer without having to wait for the next release. So some of our MSP type customers really, really appreciate this because everybody's environment is unique and they have these unique requirements that they need a backup software to behave just exactly this way, or their deployment model is this way and it's slightly different from what everybody else does over here. Can you change this? I can change this. I go back and build a workflow that matches that, deliver it very quickly without ever having to make product changes over here. So that's why from a strategic point of view, it's really, really important. So here's an example of workflow, which is basically an orchestration engine. Back to the DR use case we were talking about earlier. I have a large Oracle database that I need to do DR testing on, and the DR testing involves me standing it up somewhere else on an alternate server here, and then running a whole bunch of SQL queries against it to get to make sure whatever it is. So here's basically what I've done over here from an automation perspective. Is I've created a workflow which basically says I'm going to kick off a snapshot-based backup, which is IntelliSnap, on a particular Oracle server. Mount that snapshot, basically do a restore, revert it back off to this alternate server over here. Once it's attached to the server, I can then go in, fire a bunch of SQL scripts, and then come back and report the output of the SQL scripts and email it out or whatever to anybody else out there. Right? To do that, it basically takes a lot of sequences and stuff like that. Oh, great. Yeah. Yep.
And we can circle back on this one because
yeah. Let me just log it in again.
Yep. Okay. So at this point, I think that's the end of what we had for you all today from an official standpoint. So I think we wanted to go ahead and finish the cameras.
Just a question on the orchestration thing. Sorry, a question on the orchestration thing. So are there APIs that you can tap into using some other orchestration tool?
Right. So we can, if that orchestration tool exposes command line, we can drive those, or we can create our own workflow, which is basically an XML profile.
No, other way around. I have
and
that
are
and I want
correct.
to drive
Exactly
thing.
right.
Yeah.
So I can expose my workflow out as an API or an XML profile there, and then have that engine call into this workflow as well.